Hey everyone, my name's Joe Walker and I'm going to teach you how to kickflip. Kickflip is arguably the most iconic skateboarding trick of all time, up there with the tray flip and the ollie. Now the kickflip is something of a milestone for skateboarders everywhere. You kind of do the ollie and you're like, yes, I can jump up and down on a skateboard, which is great. And before you even attempt a kickflip, I would definitely recommend that you have your ollies solid before you even try to think about imagining the thought process entering your head of doing a kickflip. So I made a tutorial video on how to ollie. I'm going to leave an iCard above. If you can't ollie yet, or if your ollies aren't quite solid, if you can't do them up onto things and off things and maybe down a two-stair, maybe just give them a little bit more time before you get into this video. If you can ollie, if you're confident that you're good with that, then you're going to be good with the kickflip, because in my opinion the kickflip is just an extension of the ollie. There is just one more element, which is at one time both of your feet are off the board and you have to catch it in mid-air and then land. But other than that, I've found that in terms of learning time, it actually took me a hell of a lot longer to learn an ollie than it did a kickflip. When I was younger, I learned to ollie, and it just took me months. And then when I started to get into kickflips, now, when I got back into skateboarding later in life, watched some videos, you know, got my foot placement right, and committed, and that is the crucial element. You are not going to land a kickflip if you don't commit to this trick. If you don't commit to the idea that yes, you may fall, you're not going to hurt yourself, wear some protective gear if you're so concerned. Definitely wear a helmet if you're younger, if you're older, if you're just any age, like me, you know, with my helmet. Moving on. So you're going to want to commit to this trick. If you commit to it, you're going to learn it in no time. As long as you get your foot placement right and you know the steps and you're committing, you're gonna be able to kickflip. So first things first, I'm gonna have a drink of coffee. Second, we're gonna discuss foot placement. So I'm regular, so my back foot is my right foot. I'm gonna start with the tail, which is this area here. Now, if that's the bolts there, you're gonna want your back foot, the foot you're gonna pop with, there. You're gonna want that little toe over the edge of the board. And you're gonna want your foot to span the entire width of the board. This will counteract the front foot and enable you to balance whilst you're moving in order to do a kickflip. Your front foot, the foot you're gonna kick off the side of the board with, if that's the bolts there, bring it to the edge of the bolts and then turn it so it's at a 45-degree angle, like that. And you actually want that little toe covering those bolts right there. If you're struggling to find that 45-degree angle, go like this. That's 90, that's 45, and when your toes cover the bolts, you're solid. Now, I just want to focus on something whilst we're discussing the front foot. I at first struggled to have my toes completely over the bolts, and I struggled because my kick wasn't powerful enough to get that board spinning. So what I did to compensate for this, and if you're maybe new to skateboarding or you're younger and you don't have quite such a powerful kick, you want to sort of bring your toe off the board a little bit. Maybe don't cover the bolts, or maybe don't cover one bolt. This will basically make your foot kick faster, and it'll make the board spin faster, especially if you're not popping high enough. I found this helped. However, this is only a sort of a quick fix, a temporary measure to get you used to all the other body movements and things you need to be doing, the 3 steps of the kickflip, until you can get your foot there, which is the correct way to have your foot. So this is like a practice step. And what you want to be doing here is focusing on getting your kicks solid and off the board that way, so you can eventually have your toes covering those bolts. So together, your feet should look like that. Your back foot there with that little toe resting over the edge, and the foot spanning the width of the board, and you can see that the foot is at a 90-degree angle, and then the front foot that little toe is covering the bolt and it's at a 45-degree angle. This is how you should have your feet to land a kickflip. Now there are 3 steps to landing the kickflip. And one thing I want to say before we get started on the steps is they kind of all happen as one. It's one fluid motion. They do happen 1, 2, 3, but it's all kind of one movement to be able to land the kickflip successfully. Step number 1 starts here. It's the obvious one. It's the pop. You're gonna want to pop straight down. No movements, no forwards, no backwards, just straight down, straight towards the ground. That's step number 1, very simple. Once you're comfortable with step number 1, which is just riding around and snapping that ankle down for the pop, you're gonna come to step number 2, and this is the one you see everywhere, and it's the most obvious one. It's take your foot from this 45-degree position, slide your toes up the board, and kick off the edge of the board. That's what you're going to need to do in step number 2. Now, one thing to touch on here, the trick is actually kind of inaccurately named. By no means is it a kick, especially not in the beginning. When you get a lot more advanced, it looks more like a ninja kick, and then it becomes more accurate. In the beginning, it's a flick. Should be called a flick flip. We'll just stick with kickflip because it sounds a lot cooler, and I wasn't around when it was created, and I'm not genius enough to have created it anyway. So you want to slide that foot up the board and flick. Flick those toes off the side of the board. You got new shoes, don't even worry about it. Just flick, make a line, make a mess of your shoes so you know they want to be going off, and you want a lot more emphasis off the side of the board. From there, there. That is step number 2. That is, I think, where a lot of people have commitment issues. That's certainly where I had commitment issues, because that is what is going to make that board come away from your feet, do a 360 rotation towards your body, so you can then catch it with that foot and land on those bolts. So it all happens with that flick of the toes there. That's the one you really want to focus on. So we've got step number 1, step number 2, and then the obvious one is step number 3, which is simply commit, jump, and bend your knees when you jump, and then land on those bolts and roll away. So that's the foot positioning and the 3 steps of the kickflip. And I just want to really stress again, this trick takes commitment, it takes time. Don't get frustrated with it. This is a very hard thing to do, okay? But once you do it, that feeling you get when you land and roll away from your first kickflip, you don't forget that, okay? I really mean that. So really stick with it. I'm not the best at kickflips. I am a beginner at skateboarding, but I'm landing them pretty much every time. And I think a bit of peer-to-peer learning, me telling you what's worked for me in learning kickflips, I think has a lot of value, because I have been doing this 6-7 months, and that's not 20 years, 30 years as some of the pros have been doing online, but people who have really helped me. We've got Braille Skateboarding, their kickflip tutorials, and there are multiple kickflip tutorials on there. That's really helped. I seriously can't, emphasize watching those videos enough. They just break it down. It really helps with the foot positioning. I wouldn't be able to do them if I hadn't watched those videos, and I really mean that. There's also VL Skate. That guy seriously helped me as well. The way he explains it and really breaks the trick down. And what both of those channels really make you feel is it takes time, and it's okay to take time to learn these tricks, all right? So stick with it. You've got it. Just commit to the trick. If you do everything I said with the 3 steps as one fluid motion, commit to the trick, you are going to land a kickflip. And I'll be really interested to see if this video helped you land a kickflip. And if you could leave that in the comments below, that'd seriously mean a lot. Let's kick a few around. Quick thing I want to mention as well, guys, is I personally find it a lot easier to kickflip whilst in motion. I always have. I did learn them stationary first, and once I'd got the foot positioning and the commitment issues out of the way, then I thought I'd take it to, a kickflip in motion, and I landed it, almost first try, and I was like, oh, right, this is so much easier in motion. It just feels like, that front foot's projecting that way anyway in the direction that you're traveling. So if you're not having much success with it stationary, try it slowly, you know, on some flat ground, some nice smooth flat ground. Try it in motion and just see how that goes, because I found that worked a lot easier. Properly popsicled there, guys. Properly lollipopped. So kickflips off the box clearly need some work, but I hope that demonstrates what it takes to perfect a trick. Once you have it, keep doing it. Push yourself, try something new with it. Try doing it off something, a curb, a box, a two-stair, anything small to start with. Try doing it on the flat ground, but try doing it faster. Push it, commit to the trick, and you'll get it down in no time. I'm still learning loads about the kickflip, better pop, stronger kick, more commitment, higher jump. All of these will help develop my own kickflip, but I hope that the tips and things that we've discussed in this video help you to land your first kickflip, if that's where you're at, or at least if you've landed a few, to get them more consistently as I am. Leave your comments down below. I'm guessing by watching this video you're interested in landing a kickflip, so I'm assuming that's what you're working on. Leave it down in the comments below if there's anything in particular that you're struggling with, or if you are experienced and you just came here out of interest, help me. What can I be doing differently? Leave some suggestions down in the comments below, any hints, any tips you've got to develop myself and to develop the other people watching this video. Get involved, leave it down in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.